For the uninitiated, the people who don't know who haven't heard about Big Picture Film Club, haven't heard about you guys, what, how are you in the entertainment, the acting industry, and what are you guys up to? Oh, happy birthday! Wait, we'll get back. Happy birthday, Tim. We don't have any like sound effects, so
that's a shame.
I'll have
Damn
them.
shame.
yeah, like we'll insert one in.
Thank you.
Post, put it post.
Everything can be achieved in post.
It's definitely. So what? Your first question. Do you know what? Because it's the birthday, but let me answer first.
Okay.
How did you get into it?
So long story short, I had an injury at nursery once where my fingernails got caught in a pram. There's a reason I'm explaining this. And I was off school for like 2 months, and I literally went to Blockbusters every day. So I'd watch Home Alone 2, Bingo, all these different films, and as time progressed, and I went into secondary school, I then started to do the same thing with world cinema, and from that love and that passion, I went to college, and from there really have been on and off practicing filmmaking as a director and a writer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just like that. Just like that.
I didn't know that. I don't know. It came off way more awkward than it should have, but
Yeah. I'm on my best behaviour today.
Okay. Well, did you do anything for your birthday yesterday, or are you
I-
doing something on the weekend?
I'll be honest with you. I was job searching.
play.
I was at a job interview on Bonfires Night for a big retail company. I
Yeah.
went to another one on my birthday. I've now got another job, which is great. But it's like I'm literally at the moment where I'm focused on reaching somewhere that I haven't before, and that means pushing myself in new jobs, new opportunities. The same with filmmaking. I'm always looking to strive to be better at what I do.
And I'm sure a lot of filmmakers are actually in your position where they're working on their craft, they're working on their talent, they're working on their films, and they're still holding down a job at the same time. How have you managed that?
It's I'll be completely upfront and honest with you. One of my best friends, Cyrus, he's another director. He's a very talented director. He first started off as an actor. We worked on 2 shorts before, and we have regular, almost like therapy sessions on the phone once a week. Used to be 4 times a day, but it's gone down to once. And we do a lot of soul searching, and in particular he does like 2 or 3 different jobs, and he finds it hard. I find it hard too. I've come from a working class background, so I've not been lucky like some other of my peers to obtain funding and things like that. So a lot of my projects are dependent on if I'm working or not. So that's why there's usually gaps between my films, because I need to be in work.
Yeah.
But yeah, it all comes down to how much you want to do something, and at the same time whether you lose or you ignite your passion. And it is like literally having a relationship. You've got to invest in the relationship to flourish.
And Kadeem, are you in the same position? And how do you also manage that relationship, so to speak?
What was the question again?
Well, we kind of veered off the initial question
okay.
in terms of like what you do, and we're just talking about balancing your film career with your job.
My job.
I don't know your situation, so I didn't want to.
That's cool, don't worry. It actually started back when I was in uni. I graduated in 2013, and I finished uni, but it's that period between finishing and then graduating until you graduate, you get to take pictures and all that. I started a part-time job at the library.
Yeah.
And it's not. I don't even work in London. I work in Surrey Libraries, which was cool for me. It was a Saturday assistant, and I was like, okay, cool, something to finance, just finance myself and whatnot.
Yeah.
And since then, like it's just worked hand in hand. So since being a Saturday assistant, I'm now a supervisor at the library, and I work at 3 different libraries. I work 18 hours a week, so part time. And do you know what? I'm lucky in some sense, because despite me going to different libraries, there's a certain amount of people that know me and they know what I do. And so if I do have anything up, like my cluster duty manager, we have a cluster, like a cluster area. And the deputy cluster manager of that, she's really what's the word?
Supportive?
That's it. She's really supportive. Sorry, forgetting. Yeah, she's really supportive of what I do, whether it's acting or rapping, because I rap as well. And for instance, there was in April, I went off to Cyprus to film for one of the films I'm in, and I asked her like desperately, like, yo, I didn't say yo, but I was like, I didn't say yo.
No,
I was like, hey, look, this is my situation. This is what I need.
Yeah.
Do you think you'd be able to approve this for me, like my annual leave? Because I don't take a lot of annual leave off. And she said, yeah. She's like, by all means, yeah. Just don't forget me when you're on the red carpet and go to Oscars. I was like,
nice.
I was like, yo, this is really nice. So any day that I'm not working, then I'm able, like today I'm not working. Yesterday I was working. Tomorrow I'm working. So I have gaps. And even in the days that I am working, I ask if I can have it off, or if I can ask to like make it up.
Yeah.
You know, so it's been alright. I mean, it's taken me a long time to get to the supervisory role that I'm at now. I never wanted it. I just wanted 18 hours.
Yeah.
So when I applied for the job, all I saw was, do you like digital? I said, yeah, I like digital. Do you like moving around? I don't mind moving around. Cool. Until they actually told me, I was like, right, okay, cool. Now I understand what it is now. And so I just risen to the role. She has asked me if I want to become a manager. As a deputy manager, I was like, you know what, it's cool. I like where I'm right now. You know?
Actually, on that point, like working in a library, does that inspire you in terms of like character development? Do you see a character in a book or even just a front cover and think,
hey man, I tell you, when was the last time you went to the library? Damn, that's it. Oh, when was the last time you went to the library?
A while ago.
Oh, how long was a while ago? A long while. Which library is your local library?
Ilford.
Ilford, yeah? What about you two?
Woolwich.
Woolwich, yeah? Okay, cool. Whenever you've been to the library, try to remember, try to remember if you ever seen any characters. That there's specific characters, just like the specific characters in everyone's area that they live in. In a library, there's specific characters. Like I have one lady I call the Wi-Fi lady. She comes in. I'm being serious. She comes in and she says that she can't use the computer because the Wi-Fi scrambles her brain. It affects her brain. She's allergic to the Wi-Fi. Yeah. And so she sits. She can't. She can only stay in the library for 10 minutes. Then she goes sits outside. I'm like, raw. This character. She's a character. However, she's highly intelligent. She's stupidly intelligent because she's got a doctor in front of her name. She's done a couple PhDs. Yeah. And the way she talks, I'm like, right. Like she knows what she's talking about. We have one character. I call him the sleepy drunk guy because all he does is come to the library. He stinks of drink and he finds a corner. He sleeps. He's not allowed to sleep, but we leave him because he's cool.
Yeah, like he doesn't
disturb
anyone.
He doesn't disturb anyone.
He wants to sleep.
Yeah, he wants to sleep and all that. And so for these characters, I absolutely learn what it's like to be that specific character. Like there's another character from another library. He's because we open at 9:30. He's at the door 9:25. He researches people's ancestry. He's just on it. He talks to us about it because he's passionate for him, and he's slightly awkward in how he is, and so that really, really inspires me. And being amongst books, that inspires me as well. Because I've read The Alchemist. My mom told me to read The Alchemist. I read The Alchemist. Dope book. If you haven't read it, go read it. I've finished the 48 Laws of Power.
I need to get into that.
That you need to get into.
I need to get into
I'm gonna say this right now. Some of the laws may seem, how can I put it, manipulative, and they are. Yeah. But it depends on how it really depends on how you use them. Yeah. You know, because of the nature of how they are. You think raw, like it's fitted to do something really bad to me, but if you understand in what type of context for you to use them, you're like, okay, cool, this makes sense. And not only that, the laws that do seem a lot more sinister, I think it's still good for you to understand, because especially in whatever field of work you go into, it's good for you to try and analyze and pick out what someone's trying to do, what law they're trying to execute on you, and you're like, no, I'm going to stop that. So absolutely. And then there's another one I'm reading right now by the same author. I can never remember his name. It's bad because I work in the library. The same author of The Alchemist. I'm reading his book, The Pilgrimage. So
Okay.
far I like that book. And also we have in the non-fiction section there's literature. So I have a wonder, especially when it gets dead, like there's nothing happening, especially at lunchtime. I wander over to the literature section, and I just see like screenwriting, I see plays, poems, anything like that, just to help nurture that drive.
That's a really great. It seems like it's a really great environment to be in, and
Absolutely.
there's a few creatives that I know that are in that place where they have that creative passion that they're trying to move forward, and they have that job that they're doing alongside, trying to reach their goal. And yeah, I think whenever you can kind of, if some way that job can tap in or into your passion, or it doesn't necessarily need to be directly related to it, like doing that job, but if it can some way like switch your brain on to think creatively and you feed that energy back into what you're doing, I always think that's a wonderful thing.
Absolutely, man, absolutely. The funny thing is, I've always told him as well. Sorry to go on. I've always told him, like, I'm not going to be here long.
Yeah.
So enjoy me while you got me right now.
Yeah. Nice. So Haven screened in 2016 at Big Picture Film Club. So Haven, if you don't know, it's a short film written and directed by Tim Porter, starring Kadeem Boyce. And how did Haven come about, and what, to our viewers, and our listeners, can you explain what Haven is?
Yeah, so to sort of focus on the second question first, Haven is a experimental short film about a young man who has to do probably the most difficult thing in his life, and it is a crime as well what he has to commit in order to fulfill this need from his mother. Now in the original film, it's very ambiguous as to what that is until you reach the ending and you truly understand what it is.
Yeah.
It all stemmed originally from a play that I did with Miranda, who's the other co-star in the film.
Shout out Miranda.
With Kadeem. And it was initially her idea. We were devising for a play called Dream Cease Repeat, which was 3 different stories about 3 different types of young people across 3 different time periods. So we're dealing with like the 30s up to the 60s all the way up to modern day.
Yeah.
And she had this idea about let's toy around with the idea of euthanasia. And she's at first I thought she was joking, because I've done some dark subjects in the past in my career, most notably child abuse, which is a difficult subject to deal with and kind of do it respectfully.
Yeah.
So I was like, not sure, Miranda, it's a bit much. But we devised something with her and Sanchez Brown, who originally played the role that Kadeem
Shout
does.
out Sanchez.
And yeah, exactly. And it was so moving when we did it in the theatre. The other 2 stories worked in their own ways, but this particular story really hit home to the audience. In fact, actually, I think it was the reason why some people stood up and clapped, because it was such an emotional experience in the theatre that it was done with almost no words, just like the film.
Yeah.
But it had all this underlying, like, almost, dare I say, romanticism. It had this really beautiful quality to it amidst this horrible thing. And we wanted to bring that to film, because we thought, well, there's something here, we'll try that. And long behold, our paths first crossed from that when we got you in for an audition.
Yeah.
And what an audition it was.
I was just happy to do this audition.
Yeah.
Like because I went in there.
How did you find out about the audition?
Shout Elijah, hook me up. It was Elijah. He tagged me in on Facebook. He's like, yo, Kadeem, and I was like, cool. I can't remember if I put an email forward or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it's an email or Facebook message.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And then because this real quick, while I was doing a Saturday assistant, I was also working at Shrewsbury. I was working 2 jobs.
Yeah. Hustle's real.
Yeah, man, I was working 2 jobs. Completely 2 different sides of the spectrum. And so I was like, cool, yeah, I can come to the audition before I start work. And so, again, shout out Elijah, because he previously quoted me something from one of the actors. It's like, you should never go into an audition expecting anything.
Yeah.
Audition should be like, it's a performance, treat it like a performance, you know. So don't try and, you know, be pally and try to cozy up with someone. Just do what you're supposed to do. And if you've done the job, you've done it. If not, leave a big enough impression for them to remember you by.
Yeah.
So I was like, cool. So I went in there and I did the scene that he requested for me to do. And then afterwards he decided to sit me in a chair, and was it for 3 minutes or something? 3 minutes each?
3 minutes of 3 different situations.
Two different situations. So prior to my mum dying and after my mum dying,
Yeah.
how it was, and I just straight went for it. So
Wow.
that's how it was, and I left feeling good because I gave a performance, which is what I wanted.
Yeah.
And then next thing I know, Tim was like, "Congratulations, man, you got the role."
When tackling subjects like euthanasia,
And the
assisted
police are coming.
euthanasia, assisted suicide, obviously very contentious subjects, and child abuse, as you mentioned. How do you go about doing that and doing it in a, I say, tasteful way, but still being, it's still a raw subject to tackle? How do you?
It's a great question. I get it asked all the time because I've always been someone who I saw things when I was growing up, like films I shouldn't have been watching.
Yeah.
Like the first horror film I ever watched was From Dusk Till Dawn when I was 10 on BBC Two, and it set me up for, I guess, a lot of interesting detours as a filmmaker as well as a film fan. But I've always believed anything is approachable. It doesn't matter how horrid or how revolting something can be. You just don't put a personal opinion across. You just try to be as subjective as you can, and through that subjective process you're able to create something which is direct but yet tasteful. I think because I've grew up watching horror and exploitation cinema, I know that if I hadn't have watched those sorts of films, I could very easily make these films I've made with very inappropriate images because I've not grown as a person. And I'm not saying, you know, you can't make horror films or even exploitation films with those images if you don't know what you're doing. It's more that you have to understand why you're doing it. And so for me, if someone came up to me with a script and said, I want to deal with, this is a real script that's approached me once, I want to deal with an actress who's a porn star who is doing this to provide for a child, but there's an underlying sinister tone to it where she is sort of gang raped by police officers and somewhat killed, but yet the whole film is a fantasy. And some people might go, nah, it's not for me. But I'll read it and go, okay, let's see what we can do, because I'm not interested in extreme cinema. I'm not interested in, what's the word that I'm looking for? Obscene images, so to speak. I'm just interested in telling stories we haven't seen on a wider spectrum of things.
And Kadeem, as an actor, how do you kind of go into that mindset? And how did you for Haven?
Well, me, I prefer, I don't even know what you call it, but not method acting. I prefer the acting where you switch on, switch off.
Yeah.
Meisner.
Oh yeah, that's it, Meisner. Because I feel like you can get the ability to switch on and off like that, and then on and off, you know, in between takes. I feel like that is something that requires a hell of a lot of skill. You know.
Yeah,
because
you're essentially
you're building yourself up,
partitioning your brain.
Exactly.
In a way.
Computers and that.
Yeah.
Fact 32. Yeah. Well, first, how I get into it is I need to actually really understand the character, and I need to play it in my head, just like how I did for the exercise he had me do in the audition.
Yeah.
He asked me, what was it like with my mum? What's it like with my mum? What was college like? I play 18-year-old. So I went through it. I think also as well, obviously, I've been 18. Most of us have been 18. So I was just trying to establish what his life would be, especially in his background, his setting, not having a father there. Would you say he's middle class?
His mother comes from quite a successful business background.
Yeah, quite successful business background. So I was like, cool, let me put these factors into it, and how would I play along with the kid? And not only that, Hayden's mixed, growing up mixed with that status already. I'm like, okay, cool. How would that make any sense? And I just need to process it in my mind, or find likenesses through other people that I can then execute out. What was the other question you asked?
Basically, walking me through the creative process in tackling these
tackling so
tough subjects.
I think it's again, just really thinking about being in the shoes of an 18-year-old again.
Yeah.
You know, it is really just that. I mean, it's not too far from. When I mean not too far, I mean the suicide side. I mean, like, growing up from a single mom, that's not too far. That was easy for me. Cool. It's just me and mom. That was easy for me to build up off on, and then. Because I've always thought about, I know it seems weird, but in the case of my mom not being alive, how would I operate? How am I gonna make sure that my brother's alright and I'm alright? Like, where are we gonna go? I've always been that type of person to think about stuff like that, because I know nothing is forever.
Yeah.
You know, so I put those feelings into action. Like, right, how would this be? Fair enough, I don't have a brother to look after, but I've got myself to look after.
Yeah.
My mom is my sole carer, and now she's asking to kill herself. Like, I understand she's not happy, and I don't want my mom to not be happy. I want her to be happy, but at the same time, her happiness is causing my sadness. Where do I, as an 18-year-old who's still going through his problems, maturing, how do I solve that?
Yeah.
You know, how can I bring that? How can I really? And so I just really thought about it, and thought about how far would you go to give someone you love happiness. And so it was just a process of breaking down what Hayden is, how Hayden is, what it will be like. Obviously, like, on Tim's part, he kind of romanticized it, because she don't die like that. Anyone's been, poisoned like that, don't die like that. But he made it in a way that I was able to bring it to life. And plus Tim as well. Tim is an actor, director as well, so having that on board as well, that really helped. Yeah.
Kind of on that point, and just shifting the focus from kind of tackling tough subjects to in our own personal lives, like so about like a quarter of us will have like some mental health issue at some point, and you can divulge whether or not you've been personally had a mental health issue, but how does that affect your work in terms of when you're trying to jump into this character and effectively partition yourself or direct and tell this story and have only the set influences to build this story? How does your own personal life and any personal mental health challenges you face, has that affected you in the past, and how have you dealt with that?
You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go for that. I mean, I've always felt any work of any nature is a reflection of the person that's made it and the people involved. So Cyrus always said to me that you can really feel in an edit room whether the person is focused or unfocused in the way they're cutting and the way that the story's being constructed. And I've always really thought about that long and hard, because ultimately, particularly with this film, we did loads of soul searching for 7 months to figure out what we made.
Yeah.
Like, we had no idea. Like, it was a film that had dialogue initially, and we watched it back, and I just felt it was really on the nose, explanatory dialogue which was okay on the stage, but it wasn't working for film. So we had to go through the process of figuring out ways around telling the story without it being on the nose.
Yeah.
But in terms of like mental health, it's something that is not widely discussed enough. I don't think. I feel that although it's now getting much more discussed, anyone can have it at any time. I mean, I've had it this year at some stage. I was going through a very, very difficult process in my life. I was lucky at the time. The job I was working with, they were very supportive at the beginning.
Yeah.
The only thing that pulled me through was my family and people like Kadeem and Cyrus. If I did not have those individuals with me, this conversation isn't happening right now. And I feel to be able to say that, it's very bold, but it's true. And not a lot of people out there would feel comfortable to say it, but you know, I've always been someone that's very open, and I feel that a problem shared is a problem halved. As cliche as it is, you have to keep the discussion going. And I know directly last year, the year before, I was working with a director who killed himself halfway through the process of me editing his film, and I had to leave the project because I couldn't feel comfortable with the sense of, not that I was cutting the film for him, but it's because he wasn't there to give me notes. He wasn't there to give me his intention, his vision, and that's still something I try to remember every day. Like, you know, you have to be focused in that edit room. You have to know who you are.
Yeah.
Even if you are having a mental health issue, you've got to use your art and whatever skill you have to let that come out in a creative way, rather than have it come out in a bad way, shall we say.
How about yourself?
You know, first and foremost, I would link mental illness with intelligence. I guess we can see that a lot with, you know, intelligent people. They get to such a stage of intelligence that it's very questionable. As I said to you earlier about the Wi-Fi lady, like, she's a character, and even though she is a character, she's still highly intelligent. She's very intelligent. You can see that. So can you repeat your question again? Like, I lost it. It just happened to me a hell of a lot. I get too involved, man.
So looking at the stat, a quarter of us, I think annually, will have a mental health problem of some varying description.
So you were asking about how do I differentiate between the role and...
Well, no, or how does that impact your creative process? Or does it? Or, I mean, well, it must do in some form or fashion. Or how have you juggled that if you have experienced that?
To be honest, I'm not too sure if I have, but I'm guess, as you said in the stats, if we might all have at some point. I've not known about it. Do you know what?
Yeah, that's a very fair point.
I've not known about it,
we may experience...
I mean, would you say that depression is a mental illness?
Yeah.
Depression is a mental illness?
Yeah, 100%.
Like, I've dealt with depression, but I got myself out of it in like 2 weeks once I realised what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
I believe all of us have some sort of mental disorientation that helps us allow us to become a lot more artistic.
Yeah.
You know, especially when you look at art. If you go to a gallery, the first couple of things that might go through is, how the hell did he or she do that? You must not have been in the right mind. Yeah. Half of these people on drugs, whenever they do something, you're like, raw, damn, that's crazy. I mean, what's it, Van Gogh? Man cut off his hair for the woman he loved.
Yeah. That's
not stable. But I think a lot of the unstable people are the most intelligent and have the most creativity. And for me, I believe you need to push it. I believe you need to go there. It's a realm that you need to not completely engulf yourself in, but take from it. You know, it's kind of like in Naruto or Naruto. You know, you got the nine-tailed beast, Kumara.
Yeah.
You take power from him. I don't know if you know Naruto or anime.
Actually, for the people who don't,
Naruto. So you have Naruto, who is a ninja. It's anime really quickly. He has a demon. What's a demon? He's a Jinchuriki. So basically, he has a tailed beast. Tailed beast inside of him. That's still inside of him. And from time to time, whenever the time needs him to draw energy from the tailed beast, because the tailed beast has unlimited energy. He takes it from the tailed beast and uses it. So kind of like that. So where we have so many different spectrums in our head, I believe you do need to take stuff from specific avenues. Mental illness, that your brain is amazing, so why not use as many aspects of it while you can? You know, for me, I like to challenge. I like to do something different. You know, I can't do the same things. How many of us in the world? Like how many? Like stupid amount of billion in the world. All of us will always have the same idea, but we need to think of something different. You know, I believe, in order for us to grow, we need to, as you were saying, talk about have these discussions.
Yeah.
You know, keep the conversation going so that the next generation, they understand and they can go to higher heights than we could ever have dreamed of. I don't know if that answers your question.
That was a golden nugget of information that our readers, listeners needed to hear. No, and I think the issue of mental health, particularly within the arts, is something not spoke about. And like I don't know if you've seen the initial that interview that Jim Carrey did. Where they'll and then the follow up from that was is he going crazy? And I was like, I guess whether he is or he isn't is not really the issue. Is how as a society do we discuss mental health, treat it, understand it, and I think it's we speak about it in a somewhat flippant way sometimes, just kind of dismissive, and so I just think it's something that needs to be talked about.
I guess most definitely, and I do think with the whole, like you said, Jim Carrey thing, I think he's just found himself very enlightened. And whenever you find yourself, or whenever you see a character that's found themselves really, really enlightened, the people that haven't got to that stage yet, they were ready to throw labels at you because they're afraid.
Yeah.
They don't understand what's going on. It's breaking out of their norm. If you're hearing what he was saying to someone that understands that, you're like, no, he's talking sense. Like, just listen to what he's saying. You know, unfortunately, some of us are not there yet. But when you do get there, you realize, wait, hold on, no, like he's talking sense. You can't keep talking the same type of pattern that you used to if you've reached new heights.
Yeah.
You know, it's like going backwards. That don't make any sense.
Shifting gears for a minute.
Go ahead.
What have you guys been up to film-wise, and what's coming up?
I think I'm going to hold back for mine, because it'd be a good thing to end on. But Mr. Kadeem Boyce has been a busy bee recently. I think you should go into some of the stuff you've been working on. Some of it looks fantastic.
Sure. Well, first of all, I have a trailer out for a new short film that I made. It's called War Has No Eyes. It's done by Perry White. Shout out Perry, bruh. Absolutely. So do you know what, actually, it's thanks to Tim, because Perry was there when we did, was it Shorts on Tap?
Yeah, he was at Shorts on Tap.
He was at Shorts on Tap.
He also came to the Emoji Library.
Yeah, he came to the Emoji Library as well. And so Perry saw what sort of film he liked, so I did. He gave me his business card and we just kept in contact. He told me he had an initial film that he wanted to do, and then afterwards he stopped because it's a passion piece for him, and he understands that in order for him to execute that, he needs a lot more put into it. So, especially when it comes to investors, you know, this is the first time he's doing a narrative, because he's always done corporate stuff like interviews and whatnot, because he's a freelancer. So yeah, he said he wants to make another project, even smaller project, to show people what he can do. What he can do by himself and what he can do. Just imagine, this is what I did by myself. Imagine if I had money behind me. So he came up with War Has No Eyes. I don't know if I want to tell you the
talk around the edges. What can we expect? What can we feel when we watch it?
Do you know what? Yeah, you can expect to find yourself at the edge of your seat, questioning yourself, thinking, "Raw, do I really think like that?"
Okay.
Because it spins it on your head. It spins it on my head. When I first read it, I read the script and I was like, "Where are you going, Perry? Perry, where are you going?" I don't want to call it yet,
Yeah.
But it seems to be cool. I see what you did.
What?
Cool. No. I'm still in my own head.
He's doing his anecdote.
Yeah, anecdote. Yeah, I'm still saying Perry. Yeah, I see what you did there, Perry. You know, not you. Don't
Okay,
not you.
You're looking at me. I was like, okay,
No.
bro, it's getting mad intense on me.
So once I saw that, just like because I believed in Perry's vision, same as I believe in Tim's, I supported him. It was like, cool, you got your actor. He showed me the mood boards. He showed me everything. I was like, raw. He even asked me if I knew any DOPs because he wanted to get some DOPs, producers as well, to get it done. And so once he managed to find everything, he financed everything himself. We did 3 days back to back shooting in last year December, which was a beautiful feeling. Because I woke up and said, "Mum, I'm going to work." I was like, yeah. And then he also said that he wanted to film in Cyprus. I was like, what? For real? He said, yeah, I want to film in Cyprus. And so he just said he just needs to wait to get his funds up so that he'll go ahead and do it. I was like, okay, cool. So it must have been from December to April. I didn't hear anything.
Yeah.
And then he was like, okay, cool, give me dates when you're free. I'm like, huh? For what? He's like, Cyprus, man, did you forget? I was like, no, like, I wasn't sure what was going on. And so filmed it was only supposed to be 2 days, but we went there for 3 days just in case, shoot more and not need it and have less and need it and all of that. So went there, first day went, checking out the sites that we were gonna film. The second day was filming, and the third day was supposed to be filming just in case we didn't get anything for the second day. But because we got everything in the second day, we just ended up chilling. And boy, that for me, I was like, yo, this is the life. Like, I need more of this. This made me a lot more hungry, man. Like, for real. And even at the end of it, like, the DOP, David, shout out David, David Bird, he had another shoot that he wanted to do, that he needed to do. Perry had work that he needed to do, and I had an audition for advert straight afterwards. I was like, cool, and like all of us seem to be doing something. I did get the advert actually.
Dope.
I got the advert. I was happy. It's happy, man.
We'll insert some claps in there.
So What Has No Eyes, the trailers, I think 2 weeks ago, he released the trailer, so the trailer's out for that. Everyone check it out. I was like, yeah, this is dope. This is absolutely dope. So we have What Has No Eyes. I don't know when that's coming out or when he's going to finish it, but once he does, he's going to push it forward to film festivals. He's already been talking to me. He's like, I see film festivals, man. Like, I want to push it. Like, no, wait, don't worry. Come back around. Come back around, innit? And also been shooting Limbo. Shout out Elijah's. It's Elijah's project.
Okay.
It's been in the works. I think 2015 is when he first came up with the idea, and it was solely because I was staying with my friend in Wales, and I showed Elijah like where we were, and that picture spurred him on to think of this whole concept, this whole world. Elijah's dope at that. You give him 2 words, you think of something. You think of a whole world. You're like, I've already created that. I'm like, damn. You need to put yourself in a computer game, man. Damn. Make computer games. And so from Limbo is dealing with, it's heavily changed from what it was initially. So it's dealing with kind of like Caven, or kind of like you're talking about mental illness. So you're dealing with two teenagers who are in foster care, and something's happened to one of them. Something's happened to my character that has made me less trusting of adults.
Yeah.
And so my character has had enough, and so we steal a car, and we end up, I don't know where we end up, but we end up somewhere in the story, and we bump into a group of girls who also got their own shares of problems, and so it's like a deep heart-to-heart 3-part series. And when I mean a 3-part series, is 3 films that follow back to back of each other. So you got part 1, part 2, part 3, and so in the beginning you think, this is, they're gonna hook up or something like that, and then you realize, wait, hold on, this is dealing with a lot more than what I anticipated.
Yeah.
They're really you're really seeing the cracks of these characters, because people are not always what they see. People only show you what they want to show you, which is why people, especially in relationships, a lot of people get confused, like, you changed. No, you just haven't seen the aspect of them in that time frame.
Yeah.
Especially if you see a friend, or you ask a friend, you have good morals, you think you have good morals, like, what would you do if you won a lottery? Boy, I'm buying all the holes, all the crack I can. You're like, what? When was this? I thought, no, like, I just haven't shared that piece of me with you. So that's what Limbo's dealing with. I'm also writing as well.
Wow, you're busy. You're getting it in. Nice.
You know, the funny thing is, you say it's busy. I think, nah, man, I could be doing a hell of a lot more. But I'm writing. I don't want to say too much about that. I want people to be amazed.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's what he was talking about when he said he was. Yeah, man, that was me. And I'm also working on my mixtape project as well. That's what I'm working on, which I'm actually looking forward to. I've got a shoot this Sunday. My good friend Gamba Cole, shout out Gamba, he's in it. And my good friend Julie, I can't remember your surname, my bad. I remember Julie.
So good.
Julie, she's in it as well.
Shout out to Julie.
Shout out to Julie. And what I wanted
Julie.
because again, this has everything to do with acting, especially with Tim as well. Because when I was starting to do my mixtape, I had just like a pretty basic idea of what I wanted to do. But then with acting and seeing how Tim works as a director, I'm like, yo, this can be a hell of a lot more. So Tim's help and me being an actor has made my music become a lot more artistic in terms of music videos and where I want to push it, and seeing how other people as well who rap, especially like Kendrick Lamar, he's dope when it comes to his visuals. I'm like, raw, that's dope. And hearing the albums, the interludes, certain skits, you're like, yo, this is a piece of art.
Yeah.
This takes time, and so it's a little.
So when's the mixtape being released?
The mixtape's finished, but I'm not gonna. It's finished, but the music videos ain't finished.
Yeah.
And what I want to do is I want to have a compilation of music videos that tell a story in itself, and I want it to be like you're watching a film. You're watching a journey with me. The mixtape. What I'll give you now is the mixtape's called Ambiguous, because at the time and space that I recorded the tracks and where my mind was ambiguous, and they didn't have a direct theme. Ironically, the theme is ambiguous. They don't really lead up to anything. But I thought this would be a good way. Again, mental illness would be a good way for me to express something. So that's what I've been working on.
Awesome.
Tim,
man,
Your
what's
turn,
up?
Yeah, man.
So there's an announcement coming.
Oh, let's go. It's up an announcement. We sit and talk about.
So it all links back to the beginning of this conversation. So there was a film called Haven.
There was.
There is now a film called Void, which is the sequel to Haven.
Don't tell him.
Never done a sequel before. We were having this discussion. I was observing earlier, sequels are never a good thing. But saying that, Terminator 2 is one of the best sequels of all time. But this is its own film. It's a spirited sequel in the sense that it continues the story. It acts as a prologue as well, so you understand why everything happened, and it also ends as a definitive conclusion to everything that was set up. Without going into too much depth, the only reason this film is existing is because of our friendship and our working relationship. We felt at the time, after we'd made it, there was more that could have been told. And it wasn't because we didn't shoot more, it was we were happy with what we'd shot, but there were lots of questions, going back to this theme of ambiguity, that stem from it. And it's not that we want to answer them directly, it's that this idea is incredibly interesting. So whereas the first one was, would you be able to do this wish, or this dying wish, this one is, what do you do after that? What is next? Knowing that you have that person you can't speak to anymore. You can't get that person out of your head. You also resent them for what's happened. So in this case, nice little link back to Home Alone 2. I mentioned that earlier. He steals her credit card and starts living this life, which is completely manufactured, and it still brings no happiness. And you're seeing the layers upon layers unravel until eventually you get to what everyone wanted in the first film, which we never did or teased, the breakdown. And that's kind of what the film ultimately leads to. It's partially a thriller, because if you know anything about this country, euthanasia is illegal. And because of that, there are repercussions to his actions. It's also more like Steve McQueen's film Shame, which is again one of my favourite films of all time. So it's dealing with some levels of addiction. It's also dealing with loneliness, depression, loads of other themes, but it's doing it in a way which is much more direct. It's not ambiguous.
Yeah.
It's in your face. It's
Pun intended. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Speaking of that, there is a quite fruity sequence in the middle of the script, which I'm not going to say anything about now. But it's going to be my last short. I'm going to retire from short film directing after this and move solely into features. But it's a masterpiece. Not just because I wrote it. I co-wrote it actually with my sound operator. My sound operator, Michael Clayton.
Mm-hmm.
He's a really good friend of mine. We're spirited brothers, just like me and Kadeem are, and just like me and Cyrus is, and Elijah too. You know, so I'm not going to leave Elijah out on that. But it's very exciting. This piece. It's much slower than Haven was, because Haven was always meant to be a film which was an emotion, a feeling.
Yeah.
So it was very abrupt, it was very scatterbrained, intentionally so, because we wanted to create this disarray of how his mindset would be, whereas this one, it's that, what you can hear now. There's this emptiness, there's this complete silence, and there's this incredible fact that the movie has 3 lines of dialogue. 3 lines of dialogue, and they're not sentences, they're not, they're very specific lines of dialogue, and if you've seen the first film you'll know what they are. That's all I'm saying.
Wow.
Yeah.
Alright, so we're going to wrap it up there. But Tim, Kadeem, where can people find you, shout you out, follow you, quote unquote?
Boy, on Earth. I'm kidding. So I'm on Twitter, both my acting and my rapping. My rapping one is at Phobia, Fobiah, phonetically, and then my acting one is Kadeem Boyce, just my name. On Instagram is Phobia the Dopeness, THADOPENESS. Well, that's long. And yeah, so I'm pretty much there. I'm not as active as some people would think I am, but I don't like announcing anything until it's done.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's cool. I like that.
Tim.
Yeah, me is very simple, www.tjpfilm.com. I'm going to be launching a blog soon on there as well, so we're going to be releasing lots of behind the scenes footage that no one else has ever seen before. And I'm on Facebook, but I don't usually use it, which is TJP Film again. Twitter, TJP Film. Instagram, TJP Film. Everything is consistent, because I used to have things like THA Purple 1. Because I'm a Prince fan.
I saw the tattoo.
Yeah, this is new. But yeah, no, very easy to find, but not very vocal. I like to keep my distance.
That's cool. Oh, I'm also on IMDb and Star Now. I mean, not Star Now, Spotlight. Yeah.
What about Mandy?
Mandy.com, yeah, which was formerly
No
CCP.
longer CCP.
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Well, Tim, Kadeem, thank you very much for coming to the Big Picture
Thanks
Film
for
Club.
having us. Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Peace and lots of love.